Welcome to Leicester Fan TV. It's Monday night, it's 7:30. It might be a bank holiday here, but join us live now for the next 29 and a half minutes to get as many of your comments and views in. Anything to do with Leicester City, there is just 100 different topics we can talk about. We've even got rumours of Leicester trying to buy a player we can talk about. Get your views in, get your comments in. Is it total chaos at Leicester at the moment? We want your views. It's your club, your comments. Yes, indeed. My name's Phil. If you're watching us live, you can get your views in, you can get your comments in wherever you're following us at Leicester Fan TV. Join the debate by fans for fans. Let's get as many comments on screen as possible. Scott says, any news about oh, crikey. There you go. I can't even say it. Amini Harret. Well, let's have a little chat about him very shortly. Good evening, Mark. How are you? Gary said, get Rudkin out of our club. Gary, listen. You've got some beef there with Rudkin. What is your beef, mate? Because as far as I know, Rudkin's not been making the signings at the club for quite a while. That's what I'm being told. The last 4 signings were all Brendan Rodgers. Richie says, good evening. Get Rodgers out now. Let's need a manager with fight. Ian says, our club is a joke at the moment. The title of this show, as you'll see from the graphic, was at the start, is our club in chaos? Now, we put that out on Twitter earlier as a poll. 35% of people said no, it's not. And that was split between keep the faith and don't panic. The other pretty much 65% was people saying, yeah, pretty much we are in a mess. So do you think we are in chaos? I guess that is it. Nick saying, do you think the club need to come out and make a statement? Nick, about what? About Brendan Rodgers? About Wesley Fofana? About... Listen, this is the trouble, Nick, where I'm at now. It is Monday, it's 7:30. We're in let's work it out, to Tuesday to Wednesday to Thursday. That's 72 hours. We are now in hours. 72 hours, we kick off pretty much against Manchester United. So in 70 hours, all we've got to do is focus about playing Manchester United. So we've got under 70 hours where we're no doubt going to sell some players. And I hope to goodness we are going to replace some of these players, because some are going to go. Dennis Pratt, highly rumoured that Torino want to come in for him. They really want to get him back. Wayne says here, what's going on, Phil? Wayne, it's hard to say, Wayne. What do you think's going on? Keith's saying, calm down, Mr. Mannering. Don't panic. Don't panic. It's a strange one. Gary says, we are giving stupid contracts to stupid players. I think you say that. Listen, what I'm going to do now, while I get some more comments in here, I'm literally typing. Here is the link. If any of you want to come on tonight, just briefly, buy the video link and say you say. That's what we want. I want more fans on here. I'm a fan. You're a fan. Come and say what you think. Because you don't want to just listen to what I say. You want to listen to... Because what I talk is absolute nonsense. I don't know what's going on. Matty says here, so I put the link in there and I'm going to share it on screen very, very shortly. Click on the link. Come and tell me what you think. You can, by all means, just keep putting comments in. I was trying to read as many as I can. From a club being the envy of the world to a total turmoil in 12 months. It is chaos, Matty. We are bottom of the table. The record since January has not been good at all. If you look at the record, I'm no stato, but it is not good overall. Mark says here, if we let Brendan spend the Fofana money, then he ain't going anywhere. I agree. Listen, what do you do? If you sell Fofana, which it looks like, I mean, I hear he's gone to America for a medical. I have no idea in today's world why Wesley Fofana, if he's joining Chelsea, has to go to America for a medical. All this nonsense about clubs trying to be environmentally friendly. If Wesley Fofana's gone to America for a medical, the world has gone to pot, as some people would say. Jonathan Smith says, yes, our club is a mess, very simply put. Lou says here, we desperately need a new number 1 goalie. Surely Iverson Do you want to talk about Danny Ward? I said it before the season started. I'll say it now. Danny Ward, for me, is not good enough to be number 1 keeper for Leicester City. If we think you can get, we can let Kasper Schmeichel go, and you think Danny Ward's a replacement, go back and watch Chelsea v Leicester. Watch their second goal. Honestly, Danny Ward, He doesn't. Just watch it, and I'll watch it a few times and watch Danny Ward, and I go, that is Sunday pub league goalkeeping. He doesn't come for it. He doesn't stay. He does nothing. It just gets. Okay, you could say it was a good cross. Honestly, Danny Ward, their second goal. I've not seen him do anything this season. I've not seen him particularly. He's not good enough for me. If we think that we can have the player who's barely played a Premier League game in the last 7 or 8 years step in and be our number one, that for me shows you what chaos we're in. We knew Casper wanted to go. Tom saying he's Reedy coming on with his blue tinted specs. He can do. Listen, I've put the link in there. I'm going to share that link again. If anybody wants to click on that link, it's there. There is the link if you want to come on it. David says here, I'm not too sure about Pratt, as not too sure he looked. Not quite sure what you mean there, David. There is that link. Click on it if you want to come and say your piece. I'm not going to give you long, but you can come on and say something. Carlos, good evening, says, Phil, the Chelsea fans aren't happy with the Fofana signing. They don't want him. I've got to be fair. Carlos, listen, I'm not going to slate Wes Fofana about how he's played. He's played 51 times for Leicester City. We bought him for, I think, 36 million. If you can get 70, 75, 80 million pounds for him, he clearly does not want to put this shirt on. He clearly does not want to turn up to football matches and play for Leicester. He clearly does not want to turn up for training. So I think off you go, Mr. Wes Fofana. I'm not really even going to say I wish you well, because you've not gone about it in the right way. Harry Maguire, by the way, we had a little debate about Harry Maguire. If Man United were selling, would you have him back? Well, Harry Maguire, and again, listen to Brendan Rodgers' post-match interview following the Chelsea game. He talks about the Harry Maguire sale, and he said Harry Maguire was the ultimate professional while he was going through the transfer. He did everything that was asked of him at Leicester City and was the perfect player until the day he left, when he went on for bigger things. And he was saying that because by not saying it about Wes Fofana, he's saying exactly that I don't think it is how Wes has been acting. We know he's not. He's been putting the under 23s. Danny Harrison, how are you? I've fallen out of love with football completely. That's very strong, Dan. I'm falling out of it a bit more every few months. There seems to be something where I go, ooh, I've lost a little bit more love for football, and that is one of it. Simon says that's controversial. I don't know which one that's about. Craig is saying we need a centre-back and a right winger before the Man United game. We certainly do. Who would you spend the money on for Fofana on? Listen, Luke, we're so late in the window. What the hell? This is why I say there's chaos at the club. If you're going to sell Wes Fofana, if Yuri Tielemans going to go this week, which he may or may not go, there's still rumours that Maddison may go. I don't know. But what the hell are we doing leaving our signings till this late? Either the better players will have gone. There's perhaps these ones that Rodgers tapped up who have sat there waiting. But any players who were any good, it's like going to the shops 3 days after the Boxing Day sales have finished or started, whatever you want to say. It's the end of the window. It's stupidity, isn't it? Tom says he's not sure he trusts Brendan with the money. I hear that is part of the issue, because Soumare, DAKA, Vestergaard and Bertrand, all Rodgers signings, all on big money. And if you ask me, just my opinion, fans' opinion, let me know what you think. DAKA, not good enough. Because he doesn't play. He doesn't play. Rodgers doesn't trust him. Against Stockport, 60 minutes. Takes him off. Replaces him with a midfielder at Stockport who come up from the conference. DAKA ain't good enough. Soumare. Where do you go with Soumare? Where do you go with Soumare? Doesn't look good enough to me for a start. He's in a lot of the pre-season stuff. And then he doesn't want to be at the club. Soumare doesn't want to be at the club, so he's not in the squads. Soumare hasn't featured for us this season. So a question to you guys. Why did Soumare start the match on Saturday? Brendan's come out and said, oh, Soumare wants to be part of it. Oh, come on, Soumare, you start then, mate. He's clearly, I don't know. And then you've got Vestergaard and Bertram, which are just a bag of spanners. I've got people clicking on. Thank you. Let's get some viewers in. I've got Matty Bond, Ben Morgan, Ross, Sean, Reedy. All of you are going to get your words on. I'm going to try and keep getting as many comments on here. Locke says, no one we signed this summer will get us anywhere near the top 7 this season. Locks, Is this season already about survival? Are we already talking 4 games in about survival? I want to know. Simon, let's not blame the crowd. The players not motivated and Brendan clueless. Yeah, I hear what you're saying, Simon. I think it's hard to have a go at the crowd. I really do. Our defence, says Andy, is Sunday League. Watch the second goal. Watch their second goal on Saturday. It was rubbish. Carl says Ward's position is terrible. I don't mind. I come out here. You can watch these videos. Danny Ward, to me, is not good enough to be our number 1 keeper. If we want to be top 6, forget it. DAKA ain't good enough. Soumare ain't good enough. Vestergaard ain't good enough. Bertrand's nowhere to be seen. Bertrand's apparently, Brendan came out on Saturday and said, and was asked, when is Ryan Bertrand going to be ready? And he said, he's waiting to know when he's going to have an operation. He's been out for months, hasn't he? What is he? I mean, is he on the NHS hip replacement waiting list and got 3 years? Matty, I'm going to get you in. You ready, Matty?
Yeah.
Matty, I need calming down.
Hi, Phil. All right.
Yes. Good evening to you. How are you, Matty Bond?
I'm all right, thank you. I'm all right. Yeah.
Thanks for clicking on. Got loads of people want to have a say. What do you want to say? Is the club in chaos or don't panic?
Well, it's complete chaos, Phil. I mean, how are we expected to compete with virtually every other club in the league that's improving, buying really good quality players, and we have done absolutely nothing bar sell Wesley Fofana and buy a goalkeeper who we really know nothing about. You know, I mean, what the hell is going on? There's been nothing said from the top of the club. We're bottom of the Premier League. I mean, what the hell is going on? That's all I want to say. You know, I mean, it's like I said in my comment earlier. I mean, we were the pride of, it's probably a bit much the pride of the world, but we've gone from that model that everybody admired as a football club. Should have been Champions League twice running. We've won the Premier League, won the FA Cup, to utter chaos. Not looking like we're going to do anything. I mean, is this money from the sale of Little Wes? Is that going to go back into the club? We don't really know. There's rumours, but it's very, very depressing and upsetting for us fans, isn't it? I don't go as regularly as you, Phil, but we go reasonably regularly, and it's I mean, we're looking like we've stepped back 10 years more, you know, and where's it going to end up? Well, we're in for a very, very tough winter, aren't we?
Yeah, Matty, I think it is going to be tough. And by the way, it doesn't matter whether you go to the game or not go to the game. You're a Leicester fan. You're allowed your view, Matty. And I know you're as passionate as me and the next one. So I hate it when people, don't you worry, mate. You're just as entitled to your view as the next one. David says here, I find with DAKA, he needs a striker with him. He's not good on his own up front, always comes deep for the ball. Danny Ward, Matty, before we let you go, let's pick one player. What's your view? Perhaps I'm too harsh. But I just watched.
I watched the game on Saturday, as you know, as many of us did. I thought you were a little harsh there, Phil. To be honest with you, he hasn't played a lot of Premier League football. He's now I suppose he's our number 1 keeper for league games, and you know, I thought he was okay. To be honest with you, I thought he was all right. You've highlighted a few things, possibly you're correct, but that's just one position, Phil. I mean, God, we could go on and on and on and on, couldn't we? About the positions that we need to strengthen, etc. I mean, look up top. I mean, Vardy's no spring chicken. We've been saying it for years now. He missed 4 one-on-one chances, I suppose, on Saturday, which normally you'd expect him to put 2 of those away. But when you look, it's not with you, I suppose. But I mean, DAKA probably isn't up to it, and help me out a moment there. Iheanacho, his first touch is abysmal. Absolutely abysmal. I mean, he probably looks a little bit better, I think, when he drops back a little bit and maybe sits further back. I mean, he's quite good at holding the ball, etc. But they're not Premier League strikers for me.
Matty, thanks so much for coming on. I've got loads of people clicked on the link, so thank you so much. We'll see you soon. Cheers, Matty. Cheers. Great views from Matty. I'm going to get Ben Morgan in, and then we have got Elliot, Tom, Ross, Sean, Reedy. Ben, good evening to you, mate. How are you?
How are you, mate? All right.
Yeah, good, good. What's your view?
Well, I agree with most everything Matty just said, to be honest with you. I've looked on Sky Sports this morning when I got up, hoping it had been booted. No such luck. People are going on about Maguire. Then if people forget how slow he was, he's got a turning circle with a challenger tank, so I wouldn't want him back either.
I mean, Richard says here, Ben, he says, do we not need to just remain calm, trust the process and the owners, just hope it comes good? Richard's saying, just keep the faith there, Ben. What do you make to that?
Well, it's not as if it's just been these first 4 games. It's been since last season. We've not learned now. We're still conceding stupid goals. I mean, look at Saturday. We're chasing 2-1 down. It takes off Tielemans and brings on a blue defensive midfield player. What's he thinking? What's he doing? He's got to go. He's lost the plot completely.
So you're a big shout out here, Ben, for Rodgers out, I take it, mate.
Yeah, big time.
Brilliant, Ben. Thanks for your views. That you're entitled to them. We'll see you again soon.
Cheers, mate. See you later.
Cheers, Ben. Thanks for clicking on. Keep getting your views in. I'm going to get a couple of comments in here. Oliver says, can we take a minute to talk about Marty? Surely Cags is better. So many things, Oliver, to talk about. You raise another one there. Where is Kaglar Sayuncu? He was the next best thing about sliced bread about a year ago. And Marty, I'm not being funny. Is Rodgers saying, look, if I can't have Fofana, is Rodgers throwing his dummy out the pram saying, well, if I can't have Wes Fofana in my team, look, I've got to play a Marty? Is he trying to send a signal to them out there, to the bosses? Neil says, too long, can't keep this going. Let's get Elliot in. Elliot, you ready to come in? He gives me the thumbs up. Elliot, can you hear me, mate?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Elliot, whatever you want to say, within reason, no swearing.
I feel like this has been an ongoing problem for years that I've noticed, that we've bought too many players and we're overcrowded in certain positions and not filled in, that we've not had a proper right winger in years. So why we've got so many holding central midfielders when we only play one in the system, but then we've got not enough centre backs and not enough right wingers, and ideally on the left we've got Barnes and that's it. We need to get rid of half these players. And Amati, we bought him originally, he's a right back by trade, so why are we playing a right back as centre back? I'd rather have Ndidi playing centre back, and that frees up Mendy. And
well, Elliot, can I ask you then about that? You're sort of leading me into that one a little bit then. How has Soumare been not in the squad for the first 3 games, and then is suddenly our central defensive midfielder on Saturday with Ndidi and Mendy on the bench? Am I missing something here?
No, it makes no sense. That
doesn't.
I'm questioning it, and it's a bit. I'm on the fence that I want Rodgers to go, but then who are we going to bring in, to replace him? Ideally, Potter is my first choice, but is he going to leave Brighton? Not a chance with the way that they're flying.
No, I agree. But it is the Soumare thing. It's just tonight we could talk for 3 hours. We really could. But Soumare starting out of nowhere. And Brendan's come out and said Soumare wasn't happy at Leicester and was looking to leave, hasn't he?
Yeah, which, he's been linked with moves, away all summer. So why have him every single game in pre-season? And yeah, some games he's shone, but other games he's gone missing. So why are we just going round in circles, and he's playing players that don't deserve, to be at the club? And it just makes no sense.
Neil says here, Elliot, just before I let you go, he says you can see Thursday being the time everyone starts singing Rodgers out. Where are you with Rodgers? Because it's a tricky one, because we've got 3 days till the transfer window.
Yeah, this is a thing.
It'd be crazy to sack him, wouldn't it?
It'd be easier to do that, but this is a problem we've seen, at Liverpool, that he started to run out of ideas, and then he got sacked, and he does the same thing at Celtic, that he started to run out of ideas, and then he decided to leave Celtic and leave Leicester. So is it a case of, do we sack him or do we stay with him? I'm not 100% too sure, because ideal replacement, who's really going to want to come to a team that's bottom of the Premier League that's got no money to spend?
Sean Dyche?
Yeah, yes.
It's an answer. I'm not saying that's all I want. I'm just saying he's available. He knows the Premier League. He can probably motivate players. I'd quite like to see somebody stood on the sideline shouting at the moment.
But then the other question is, well, what message are we sending the rest of the Premier League if we bring in Sean Dyche? That what he did at Burnley, incredible. £40 million to spend. He kept in the Premier League for years. But I don't know. I'm on the fence. I'm not 100% too sure if he does go. Who do I want to really bring in?
Okay, Elliot, thanks so much for clicking on the link. I've got Tom, Ross, Sean, Reedy to click, and I'm going to see if anybody else wants to come in. Thanks, Elliot. That is brilliant to have him in. I'm going to shove that link in there again. If anybody else wants to come in, have their say. That's what it's all about. Michael's saying no other current Premier League manager will come to us. Wouldn't touch us with a barge pole at the moment, Michael, which if you think 6 months ago, you probably could have been saying, oh, Potter would like to come here, etc., etc. But, with somebody else said about Pochettino, he is not going to come to Leicester. Honestly, I'm not even going to bother talking about that. I can't see it in a million years. Joanna says here, she says, thing is, he'll play his fittest 11 whether we agree with who he starts or not. So Joanna, Soumare was fitter than Ndidi and Mendy? I really don't think so. If players are not giving their all on the pitch, we're looking at conceding and losing points, make prizes. We're not gaining anything. I don't know, Joanna. I just don't know. It seems very strange. David says here, you keep saying why he started Soumare this weekend. Do you think he was very poor, average, or any good? I still have faith with Brendan. Now we just need to win regardless of how we do it. Do you know what? I'm almost not going to answer that, David, in a way. I thought he was okay-ish. I just question, how do you go from not being in the squad for 3 weeks, and I mean, not the subs bench, just not involved? Soumare, as far as my memory is, wasn't in the squad in the first 3 matches, and then suddenly, match 4, you start. And this is the player that Brendan's openly said, Soumare's not happy, he's not settled, he wants to go. It seems strange. What message does that say to Mendy? And I think Ndidi maybe was dropped a little bit through a poor performance. Tom is going to come in very quickly, Tom.
Evening all.
Good evening, Tom. I'm good. Tom, how are you? What clubbing?
Busy.
Clubbing chaos, or which bit do you want to pick on?
Worrying times, not clubbing chaos. I'm not going to get far. Clubbing chaos is someone who's going into administration and financial difficulties. The point about Soumare is the biggest one I want to pick up on, and why he started at the weekend. The reason Brendan come out and said it, he picked him on the base at 1. He's saying he's staying at the football club. He's committed. He wants to. He don't want to go on a bad period after last year. He wants to show what he can do. Is that because someone's offered him low money like Vestergaard? The second one, apparently, he played him at the weekend because he wanted to get the ball through the pitch quicker, and he knows Ndidi can't do that job. That Soumare apparently can do that job. Firstly, I didn't think Soumare had a bad game at the weekend. I actually thought he had a half-decent game until he was taken off. 1 or 2 mistakes, but again, not played all season. Chucked in away against Chelsea. You're going to make a few mistakes and give the ball away. Main point tonight, what are we, 72 hours before the transfer window shuts, Phil?
Well, we're 72 hours till we kick off against Man United. The teams will be turning up 2 or 3 hours beforehand. Brendan Rodgers will have his eyes full. So you are now at like 68 hours of potential. I know there'll be other people in the club, but it's bonkers, isn't it, Tom?
Absolutely gutted that this Fofana deal's not been done. It's why is it taking so long? Why have they got to fly?
Why has he gone to America?
I'm sorry, if you want a player and you're desperate to sign him, surely there's a place in London that are good at any place in America to do these tests, and places up and down the country. Big teams like Man U, Liverpool, they sign players every single transfer window, and they take them to certain doctors and do all the tests on. So why has Fofana got to go to America? It just seems like another cop-out from Chelsea, just trying to make it drag a bit longer, in my view. So mean that now we've got less time to go and sign anyone, because no point is putting bidding for players until Fofana's gone, because if Fofana doesn't go, we haven't got room to sign anyone else.
I mean, Tom, I'm not. The way the world is at the moment, we're all trying to be a little bit more environmentally friendly, and to stick somebody on a plane to go to the States for a medical seems just bonkers. When you've got Harley Street, you've got Chelsea facility. It's just. I know they've got American owners. Surely they don't need to send every player out there to be checked off by an American doctor.
And by the way, it would have been on a private jet, so even more fuel costs and everything like that, because you're not even a full plane, is it really? Look, just want to come on and give a few points. Obviously, disappointed with the result at the weekend. Didn't think we played too bad, I'll be honest with you. very frustrating. And second goal was criminal for me, in my view, to let 10 men pass the ball the way they did through the middle of our park. Obviously, KDH can't make a tackle. He should have been substituted, in my view, because he was on the yellow. We all knew the referee was waiting to, even it up if he could. And that meant KDH was basically out of the game for making any tackles because it went past him twice. And then for Reece James, the fullback, to get in that position when we're playing against 10 men, that high up the pitch, and Sterling to stand at the back post. It was criminal for me, that second goal.
Tom, I've called Danny Ward out for that. Again, if you watch it back for me, Danny Ward, that is Sunday morning goalkeeping, where you watch your keeper and you go, you don't know what you're doing, mate. You just stood on your line. You didn't come. I know it was a great cross in a way, but the keeper could smother that.
But they shouldn't be able to get through the pitch that easy, mate. They played through the line so easily. And it's not like they had 3 or 4 players advance. They had 2 players in that, attacking half. Leicester, for me, second half, got it all wrong. You could see how it was working the first half. Us sitting deep and then counter-attacking and picking them off. It worked. So why didn't Rodgers say second half, sit deep, let them have the ball, let them get frustrated with 10 men. They want us to have the ball. No, we'll let them have the ball. And then when they make the mistakes, we'll pounce on them. But we didn't. We took the game to Chelsea, what we've tried to do a number of times this season. And it's ended up with eggs on our faces in theory, because teams are now taking pot shots because they know we don't close teams down and getting joy for it. I've got to go because I've got another show now to get ready for the away fan show, the United Stand, what will be out on Wednesday night, will it, Phil?
Yep, indeed. Probably even tomorrow, to be fair, Tom. Tomorrow. So we'll get that sorted. Cheers,
right,
Tom.
Mate. See you in a bit. Bye.
Keep getting your comments and keep getting your views in. I've still got Reedy, I've got Sean, I've got Ross, I've got Jono, I've got Imran, I've got Mahad. We're meant to finish in 4 minutes. We're obviously going to overrun. I'm just going to get people on really, really quickly, if that's all right. Let's get Imran on. Imran, thanks for clicking on.
Hi, how's you doing?
Good, Imran. Thanks so much for clicking on. I can't give you too long, but just
it's fine.
Just what do you want to say?
No, I just want to say that, are we overreacting? Because I'm just looking at the facts here, and I don't want to sound like Rafa Benitez, but we've won 3 games in 16 games. We've taken 1 point from 4 this season. We've drew 0-0 with Stockport County. Couldn't score a goal past them. The atmosphere at the KP is terrible. We can't sign a player. Something's not right, mate. And it hurts me so much. I put a post out on Saturday to say Brendan out, but maybe I overreacted. But what was, Phil? What's going on? Like, it's just everything's against us.
Imran, you've just come on here and said maybe we're overreacting, and then you've read out those stats where you go, that's why we're
exactly.
I don't think we're overreacting. I think we're reacting, aren't we?
Yeah, but the abuse I got when I put that post up on Saturday, that you don't know what you're talking about. You're Einstein, blah blah blah. But the fact is, we're in trouble, mate. And it's going to hurt me immensely if we get relegated. And I shouldn't even be talking about it, because we've got a strong enough squad to at least finish mid-table. So something's going wrong at the training ground. Maybe the lack of signings. I mean, how did Soumare and Pratt get started? We were trying to sell them 2 weeks ago, and now they're starting against Chelsea. So I'm confused. I'm really confused and worried about the current situation of our beloved club. That's all I wanted to say, really. Just really, I'm depressed about it. But anyway, look, I'm positive about Thursday. Hopefully we can, roll United over on Thursday. But, that's just me being optimistic. Let's just hope for the best.
Talking about Man United, and just before we went, if we sell Wes Fofana, which I think is pretty obvious we're going to, and if Harry Maguire was available for maybe 50 million, would you go for him? Would you have him back?
Not for 50, probably for 30, I'd take him back for sure, because at least we'll have an experienced defender at the back. I think Johnny Evans is... his legs are going as well. Look, and Didi and Evans, both of them are having poor campaigns so far. So I think Maguire would be at least he'd freshen up the defense. So I would take him back, but not for 50, maybe for 30, 40 million for sure.
I don't think you'd get him for that. Imran, thanks so much for joining us.
Cheers. Take care.
Thanks, mate. Gary says Soumare won't get the wages he wants elsewhere. That's why he wants to stay and fight for his place. Chappers says, hi, Chappers, hope you're well. Says, moan if they don't play, moan if they do. Well, talk to me, Chappers, about Soumare. How's he not in the squad for 3 weeks and then suddenly he's in the start of the squad? Well, I don't know where you go. DAKA plays against Stockport, plays only given 60 minutes because he's pulled off because he can't score. It is tricky. I think some of the players just aren't good enough, chappers, but great to get your views, get your comments in. Richie says, I can't see Leicester City beating Manchester United on Thursday. Craig says, are they saving money for stadium extension and new arenas, etc.? It's a question, Craig. Let's get Jono in, and then Ross, I'm going to get you in. Jono, good evening.
Hi, Phil. How's it going?
Not too bad. And your jacket there is obviously no Fuchs given. I have to be careful there. Feels a bit like no Fuchs given at the club at the moment, Jono. What's your take on it?
I absolutely agree. I think that all of the squad, including Brendan, are just playing in limbo. It feels like they're not. Well, they're certainly not giving 100%, are they? They're. I think confidence is low, and they're sort of going through the motions. I think that they're rudderless. I think Brendan isn't providing any leadership. He's not providing any proper structure, or he's not even making sense anymore in terms of his team. I was baffled by the team that he was putting out at the weekend. Soumare coming straight in just baffled me completely. I like to see Pratt back in the side. We've been calling for best part of since he arrived, to be honest. So I just think he's totally lost any kind of confidence in himself. I think he's got to the point now where I think his mind's not on the job and his heart's not in it. And I think he's probably got to the point where he's probably wanting the boot. If Top was to sack him tomorrow, I think it would be a big relief for him and he'd move on and he'd be happy with that. You'd have his payoff. The thing that I'm really gutted about is that it's going to cost us the best part of 30 million to sack him, which is absolutely gutting for a manager that's clearly failing at this point. I know Jamie in particular called it out ages ago, and I'm now turned around to Rodgers out myself, having seen what I've seen this season. I was really hoping that after the end of the last season, I know we beat Norwich and Watford and they're relegated teams, but it felt like we caught a bit of momentum at the end of last season. We were scoring a few goals. Vardy was back in the goals, and I felt that maybe that momentum could have carried on into the season. It's just happened absolutely the opposite, and I'm gutted with the way things are going.
It's going to be so tricky, isn't it, Jono? Rodgers can't go before Thursday, you almost think, because...
Well, I do wonder whether there is something in the fact that the management have not trusted Rodgers this season. I know we've had problems with the wage bill and a bloated squad and all the rest of it, but his signings have been dreadful. Other than probably Castagna and Fofana, I can't think of anyone else that he's brought in that's been a success. So whether they're holding fire so they can do a refresh and a rebuild next summer, I think that's part of the reason. But I think it's emergency now. We need to get some players in, right winger and centre back. That's what we need. And I think if we do that, and I think Rodgers has to stay if we back him and get a couple of players in, and see what happens by Christmas. And if we're in trouble at Christmas, I can see him going by then, if not sooner.
Jono, thanks so much for clicking in and giving us your views. We'll see you soon, mate.
Yeah, thanks. See you soon.
Thanks, Jono. That's Jono. No Fuchs given there on his shirt. Feels like a bit of that at the club. Listen, we're meant to finish at 8. We are overrunning. There's just too much to talk about. Too many people want to come in. So if you don't mind, we'll carry on for a little bit longer. Mahad is going to come in. Mahad, briefly, if you can, what's your club in chaos or don't panic?
I think the players fundamentally, starting 11-wise, I still think the players alone can get us to 7th or 8th at least, I think. Anything above that, I think, is to do with coaching, and anything below that is to do with coaching. So, like, the way we've played hasn't really changed. Like, I've actually wanted him out for a while now, and I remember the Forest game when he came out with the rebuild talk. And to be honest with you, I didn't really expect any difference from from us not signing many players, but I didn't expect us to sign no one. And, you know, even with people like some, they've been constantly played out of position. He said himself, even to that, he's that club journo, Rob Tanner, I think it is. And he said multiple times that he's a deep line playmaker, but somehow Tielemans always into the squad, and then whenever he gets into the squad, he's trying to mold him into someone that he's not. Like he's not the second coming of Kante, you know. But he's trying to mold him in that. It's quite jarring.
Mahad, I'm really sorry,
yeah.
but your connection's really not good, so I'm going to have to let you drop out. I'm really sorry, mate. Sorry about that. I'm going to get Ross in because he's waiting. Ross.
Hi.
All right, Ross.
Yeah. Well, where do we begin?
We begin wherever you want to begin.
I mean, do you know what? I think that Schmeichel going caught us off guard. Because is there more to Casper leaving than meets the eye? Because has Casper left because he's had a dispute fallout with Rodgers and he doesn't want to say anything out of respect for the owners? You know, I mean, obviously Ward is not a number one. I've said this. I'll say it until the cows come home. You know, Everson needs a chance. You know, we gave Thomas a chance when he first came in. We gave who else did we give? Charlie when he first came burst onto the scene. We gave a lot of players a go. So why not give Everson a chance in goal? The only reason Ward's been given number one is because it's because we've had no choice. We just say, oh yeah, you're number one now because Casper's gone. So basically, it's not because you've proved yourself, you are now number one. He's been given it because because Schmeichel's gone. That's the only reason. He's not a number one goalkeeper.
I happen to agree with you, Ross, as well. I don't think Danny Ward is a number one keeper, but a lot of fans think he is. I don't see it at all in there. I think it's a strange one. Sean says here Casper left because they weren't going to extend him. Soumare was being pushed around by Rodgers. Rodgers has flip-flopped on whether he wants him or not. Go on, Ross.
Do you know what I think? What triggered Schmeichel to leave? He played 149 consecutive games in a row. And suddenly, I remember I said this, and he drops him. 150 of do you know what? I'd go off and leave and all.
But he dropped him, didn't he? He wasn't injured. He dropped him.
No, he drops. I know we won 5-1, but that's not the point. You know, imagine that, Phil. You're one, like for example, at your job, you're 1 day away from consecutive in a row, whatever you've done, and then all of a sudden you get dropped and then get dropped, and then the week after you get back in. Oh, I'd be fuming.
Especially after 11 years of service or whatever it is with Casper.
Exactly. I was heartbroken when I left. I'm being serious. It always happens on my birthday. It always gets agreed a fee. So when it's my birthday, a player leaves. It's annoying. But no, touch on the Fofana thing. Do you know what? Here's a question: what happens if the medical fails? Because it's happened before in the past with players.
Yeah, I don't think it will.
You never know.
Well, I suppose you never know because of his broken leg, Ross. You never know.
Exactly, and I would say this: Rodgers, I'm Rodgers out. If that's the question you're going to ask me, 3 wins in 16 is not good enough at all. We've got how many games? Someone put it in the comments here. We won 7 games this year in the league.
Yeah,
that is not good enough. Do you know what? I'm going to go as far as say it's just as bad as Powell. And do you know what? Powell made better signings than Rodgers. And yet he got sacked 7 months, like his first full season. Because technically when he came in, he came in after Shakespeare. Because remember, Shakespeare got sacked when we were bottom of the Premier League 8 games in. Something like 8 games in. So, could Rodgers get sacked even before 8 games?
Well, it's going to be interesting, Ross. I'm going to let you go, mate.
That's fine.
Thanks so much for joining. See you later. Thanks, Ross. Let's get Sean in, and then I'm going to end with Reedy. Sean?
Yeah.
Thanks for waiting. Sean, listen, I know you're always positive, and that's what we want. So, Sean, what do you think for the Man United game on Thursday? Do you think we can beat them?
I think for the yes. Because they are struggling a bit by United, but we can beat them, and
Well, they have been, Sean, but they've just won 2 on the trot, including beating Liverpool, and then I think they beat Southampton.
Yeah.
So they'll come into the game with a lot more form than us.
And I do think Brendan Rodgers in this year, because it's good for in the past. It was Liverpool's manager and Chelsea's manager. He's good. He's amazing, and I think the squad is a bit struggling a bit, and I think I do think don't blame Brendan Rodgers. I do think it's the transfer window's fault. I think.
Well, I hear what you're saying, Sean. Just before I let you go, because I've got to wrap up soon, and I've got to get Reedy on with his blue tinted specs. Sean, what is your score prediction for Thursday?
I think it might be 3-1. Yeah, I think it might be 3-1.
3-1 to Leicester. Sean, thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you at the match. That's Sean. Love to hear positivity, and we're going to end with some positivity. We're going to get, I'm sure, Reedy, you don't need those blue tinted specs. Your life is always blue, which is great. Come on, then. You've heard what people have been saying tonight. I think the club is in a bit of chaos. I've told you why. 70 hours till the transfer window goes. You are going to pay me that tenner because Fofana is going to go to Chelsea. We've had a bet.
I agree with that. I'll give you that. Yeah.
We're going to do it live. Reedy's going to give me the tenner.
We have to wait until it's actually confirmed. Though,
oh yes,
fully confirmed yet.
I don't want Wes Fofana to go. Well, I didn't. I probably do now. We haven't even got to talk yet about. We're linked. Pratt is linked to go. We're linked with this guy. Amini Harriet, £10 million. He's an attacking midfielder, Reedy.
Yeah, he's more of a kind of winger, from what I've seen, he's more of a right winger, and that is kind of what we've been looking for.
Well, I read it that he's an attacking midfielder, but
either way, from what I've seen in the past of him, he can play kind of anywhere in that attacking three. And for me, I guess we probably need him because he is a winger, but. You know what I mean? He's more than he's like a mess signing for us, really, isn't it? It's like one that you have to either improve the squad or he's just going to be that backup, like Lookman kind of was.
Really, I'm still hearing Perez linked with is it Real Sociedad? Pratt linked with Torino. There's still grumblings of Madders could get snapped up in this last little dash around. Tielemans, well, we've been talking about it for 9 months now, and just. Probably people have been watching his performance on the pitch since Christmas and thinking, I don't want to sign him. And then we've got Wes going. And then we've got Amati in defence instead of Soyuncu. Go on then. Wrap it up. Why there's no need to panic?
First of all, I think that Rodgers has not been backed himself. You said it as well in the office.
I agree. I'm not here saying Rodgers out.
Oh no, I'm not saying you are. But the issue is,
I'm not saying Rodgers out actually because I think Rodgers has not been backed.
No, the club has not given any money to him.
Yeah,
Rodgers has said even if it was a ploy or whatever in that after that Forest game, said we need a rebuild. If he had the money, it would have been a rebuild.
Yeah, he's clearly said that. He said he wants.
And like you said, he's persuaded players to come in.
Yeah.
So I've kind of got to say that 75 million you get from Fofana. You don't use to sack him. You use it to back him, and hopefully bring the players in that who's right, and hopefully improve next season. Though this season coming, because again, you might say we lost to Arsenal. Yes, it was always going to be a hard game to win. Chelsea, I thought out of all 4 games this season, it's been probably our best game of the season. People are still just looking at the negatives in that game. I think out of everything, I think that. The only negative in that game really was the slow start at that conceded goals. Which yes is a big issue in a game, But other than that, we fought. We had passion in that game. I couldn't complain with the passion in that game. And people are asking for the fight, the passion in the game, and it was there against Chelsea for me. In the away fans, I think.
Well, there was fighting amongst the Leicester fans.
I didn't see any of that, I've got to admit. But from my point of view at the Chelsea game, the atmosphere was brilliant from us. The singing was brilliant.
Have I been too harsh on Danny Ward then? Have you watched it back?
I've not watched that back, and I didn't think it was. Well, from when I was actually live there, I didn't think it was that bad. I thought it was just like a kind of like the Man City style goal where it just goes across the box and someone's there obviously to tap it in, like Sterling has been at Man City.
Watch it back after this.
I will do, but for me, I've said it to you even before the start of the season. I didn't think Ward was a number one. When I said Iverson to both of your lads, they were saying that I don't think he's good enough. At least give him a shot. If you've gave Ward a shot, give Iverson a shot. Or your case is get that 75 million and buy the 2 or 3 players that you know we need to make this team solid. And maybe even someone like Ben Foster. People will probably say no, he's 39 years old. Even as a backup at number 3. I know obviously we've got a third choice keeper now, which is a bit harsh because now there's probably no point in getting a keeper in because that means we're going to have 4 keepers in the squad. But
yes,
we've got to use that 75 million. We've got to use it for this window.
I agree. The keeper situation, I scratched my head at because we've literally said that we've got a third keeper in who's never in a month of Sundays ever going to play a first team game for Leicester.
And I think with Iverson, he's played the last 2 years in Championship football. Yes, it's not Premier League, but he's consistently playing game in, game out in the Championship. Why not give him a shout? He did brilliant in the Stockport game. Why not?
But we've signed that Smithers. I think that's how you say his name. I believe he's 32. I believe he's on 10 grand a week or whatever. He's just never going to play for Leicester City, is he?
No chance. No.
That's 10 times 52 times 4 years, whatever contract. Well,
which obviously Brendan does like the free keepers, but if anyone, you bring in someone like Ben Foster. That's the sort of person you bring in, not Smithies who from a Championship Cardiff side who didn't really play. I don't think
he's never going to play for Leicester, is he?
No. So what's the point in bringing him in?
We'll watch this video in 3 years' time and see how many appearances has Smithers, a keeper, but he takes a place in the 25.
Yeah, and I'll say this point as well that I've seen
trying to offload wages.
The amount of Forest signings that they've brought in. Apparently, they're getting to the 19th signing now. How are they fitting all these players into their squad? They didn't have 6 players left in their squad after last season. Even with all the loans I had, they did not have 6 players left.
I actually think really they did just about have 6 less. But
really?
talking Forest, Dean Henderson done really well for them.
Congrats to him, mate. He's pretty much saving them at the moment from what I've seen.
Yep. Top keeper, played for Man United. They've got him on a free transfer for the season,
but
free on loan.
You could say as well, yes, he might be on a free transfer, but again, the reason why I'm kind of backing Rodgers still is that Rodgers hasn't been given the chance to buy what he wants yet. Yes, last season, maybe with a few players, yes. But I still think Soumare...
Every second you're talking, he's got less time to sort this out, really.
I know what you mean, but someone like Soumare, I think he put him into the Chelsea game to show a point. Not just because he wants to stay, but I think, if anything, he's been better than Indeed the last 3 games. The way he plays.
What point is he? This is why it's interesting, really, because if he's, I agree. I think he's using Soumare on Saturday to either put him in the shop window or make a point. But what point does that say to players when they go, that guy who's been moaning and saying he doesn't want to be at Leicester, he wants to get away, Monaco want to sign him, blah, 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 he doesn't want to be at the club. What does it say to the other players when they suddenly go, oh, he does want to play for us? Go on then, you start, mate. What does that say to Mendy?
I think, like Tom said, I think he's putting him in there because of this kind of the things he's got in his game, other than that indeed he hasn't. And for me, I think he was probably man of the matches against Chelsea. And I think, to be honest, I probably would start him against Man United. And even Rodgers said when he brought him in, he wouldn't be good for the last season. He would start being good this season. Hopefully, it's a point to prove. And like the same with DAKA. Obviously, I know you've written him off. I still think he's got something in there. He just needs to get put into the game more, because even if he starts, DAKA does. Even if he starts and he brings him off 60 minutes, it doesn't help.
Do Really, I'm asking. I'm being dead honest here. On Saturday at Chelsea, I didn't go.
Yeah.
You did go. I was actually away at the weekend. Jamie Vardy played, I think, the whole game, didn't he? Did DAKA come on?
DAKA didn't come on because Kel came on and then Pratt came on.
So in a game when we're playing 10 men and we're losing, he didn't fancy DAKA. He left he left 35-year-old Vardy on and didn't bring the
because
young,
I think he was getting the chance. Vardy was getting the chances. For me, it's not you don't bring DAKA on just because we're losing. You kind of use him in certain games that you think you
bring a sub on to score you a winning goal, don't you?
I don't know. I wouldn't look. I don't think I'd look at the DAKA substitution like that. Like, for instance, I'll give you it from last year against United.
What about Stockport away last week? He gave DAKA 60 minutes against a team that's come up from the conference.
But no one scored in that game. Not
I know.
Just DAKA.
I know.
Not just DAKA, but
I know. But that's DAKA's 60 minutes to show people like me that he's any good, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think, like I say, it's like with Kel as well. I think it's all about confidence as well.
DAKA only lasts 60 minutes at Stockport.
I can't fight DAKA. Is more anymore. I can't fight DAKA even more. I still back him. I think if you gave him a full season,
he's had one. He's had a full season. Vardy's out most of last season.
But while he was out, he scored quite a few goals.
I don't think he did. If you check the stats.
He got I think he got 10 or 12 goals in the season.
Not in the Premier League. He didn't read it.
Well, in the season he did.
Yeah, but he got 4 at Moscow away. Come on.
That's good enough, isn't it? It got us through.
The Premier League last season. Come on. I'm quickly looking it up. I'm trying to see how many goals he scored. He made 23 appearances for Leicester last season in the Premier League. 23 and scored 5 goals.
And how many were them substitutions? I bet you at least half of them were. And they had about 20 minutes.
Anyway, it's fair enough. We know we disagree. Keep talking positive. Come on, Reedy. Let's have more.
Well, I kind of said what I was about to say. I think people are going to say that I'm absolutely stupid for backing Rodgers still, but I still have trust in him, and again, the main thing is he's not had the backing of the club to show that he's still backed. And like I say, if he had the money to start the window open, we'd probably have about 6 or 7 signings by now. But because he's literally had no money until literally this Fofana's deal was going through, he's going to have to try and use all the money he can do now to get what he wants in. And I don't think he's going to be able to get as many in as he wanted to. So
go on, then. Well, before we let you go, Wayne has asked you this. Reedy, well, he says don't pick the team, but I'm going to say, go on then, Reedy, pick the team. Tell me who is roughly in your 11 on Saturday.
Okay.
Because we do need to see something. We need to see some passion.
So I'll put the tweet out for Thursday night because you'll see it, my team anyway. But I'll put out Iverson in goal. That won't happen. He'll put Ward in there, but Iverson should be in there.
Yeah.
JJ on the left, Castagna on the right, and then I'd go Sunchu and Evans in the in defence.
He can't keep going with the Marty, can he? There.
No. That is the one thing I've kind of got to admit that Rodgers is doing wrong. I don't know how he's putting him in over.
Go on then.
Sunchu.
So we got Castagna, JJ, Amati. We've got Evans and Sonku in there. Who's in the midfield of this slot then?
Thing is, there's so many. I don't know who to pick from. I think after the Chelsea game, I'll put Soumare in that DM role. I think I'd drop Ndidi again. And then I put Pratt, maybe Dewsbury Hall, and then Maddison. And then that means Tielemans stays out. I think he had a decent game against Chelsea, but I think Pratt probably deserves a shot in. If they're going to keep him, they might as well play him. Otherwise, he will go. And then up top, I'd put Barnes, Vardy, and maybe Perez, I guess, on the wing. There's no other wingers unless we bring one in before Thursday, I guess. But we're going to play 3. If we play 3 up top with wingers, the only person we can play is either maybe even DAKA on the wing, but you're never going to see that. So you'll probably put Perez out of everyone.
So it's a 4-3-3.
Most likely. Again, or it will go back to his kind of style from pre-season. He goes like the 4-2-2 or whatever it is with sorry, 4-2-3-1 with two DMs in, maybe even Soumare and Ndidi together, and then put Barnes in the same kind of formation as well. Both kind of work with the 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1, but it just shows. But again, half that team will probably be wrong. He'll probably put Yuri in there, probably put Ndidi in there, probably put Ward in there, which I guess people will be like, it's our strongest team, but maybe you do need a bit of a switch up, because I think we played even better against Chelsea than probably most of the players would have if they started.
I think David says it all right here. He says, I want to see passion and commitment on Thursday, no matter what ends up being the result. However, it gets tricky if we don't win one of these games when we play well, as we can't keep losing points in there.
Well,
Imran, go on,
what is your thoughts on the Chelsea game? I don't know did you watch any of it, or did you only watch highlights? From my point of view, and everyone around me who I went with, they said you can't fault the fight and passion in that game. And at one point, I thought, you know what, we're going to come out with this with a win, because at half time, nearly had a shot on target just before the whistle blew at half time. I thought, you know what, we're going to run away with this because they've got 10 men. And they came out, and because of a slow start, we conceded 2 goals. But I think if we put that fight, we still put the fight after that. People are going to say, how can you say it? I honestly saw so much fight and passion in that game. People going over tackles that are injury level tackles at times. Even Yuri going in and challenging people when he probably nearly didn't win the ball at times. But for me, I couldn't fault the team against Chelsea.
I don't think Soumare should have been in there. Where was Dennis Pratt playing?
He was kind of that. It's like when you put Madison out wide. It's like that sort of situation. It's more like a right mid kind of role, not right wing, but right mid.
Dennis Pratt was sort of playing a bit out on the wing, on the side.
Yes, but
and then you've got Daniel Amati in centre back, and then you've got Danny Ward in goal. That I could carry on with where it goes wrong on Saturday, but putting square pegs in round holes. But that's Rodgers.
For me, the performance against Chelsea was pretty decent to say that we're playing against a top 4 team in the Premier League.
Who lost 3-0 the week before at Leeds.
But again, it's like different styles of play. I know it is, and I know what you mean. It is right.
And they had 10 men against us.
Yeah. I know I've said that I think that it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to play against 10 men, and I'm going to stand by that. It is. They're going to be more strict with what they do. They're going to be a lot more what's the word? They're trying to be a bit more clever with what they do. So they've got 1 man down, so it's hard.
We'll see, Reedy. Listen, thanks as much for joining. Listen, Reedy's point of view is more valid than mine, and just as valid as yours. We're all entitled to it. I think the honesty is, Reedy, is you and me the one thing we'd agree on is, I think you'd agree on this, is something's not right within the whole club system.
Not at all. No, something is wrong.
I don't know what it is.
I don't, and I've said that every time now when people are saying Rodgers out, I do not think the issue is to sack Rodgers. I don't think that's the issue. If you sack him, he's not going to clear. It's not going to sort the whole issue out. He's not.
I don't know if he's fell out with the players or some of the players. I don't know if he's fell out with the bosses. It just, there's something not right, and that's the only thing we can agree on.
Thing is, again, you gotta think as well before we go that I think is it Rodgers' decision to bring a set piece coach in? Or is it someone else? But either way,
whosever idea it was to bring in a set piece playmaker, like tactician, well done. I think every one of the 30,000 fans last season could see that.
I know that, but
even
that issue alone with a visa, like it's a great decision, but
it's a great decision.
It is a great decision.
Well done. Bring in somebody to sort out the set plays.
Shame he's not in there, though, is there?
Shame he's not in there. What? I mean, we've not even talked about that really, but great decision, but not implemented.
No.
Get a new head of recruitment. Great decision. He ain't here. This is why.
Again, another reason why it's not just Rodgers' fault. These people aren't in here.
This is why
the issues.
The title of the show was "Is Our Club in Chaos?" I
I
feel it
guess,
is.
I guess, but again, it's not all down to that man, Rodgers. That's all I'm going to say.
I agree with you. Thanks, Reedy. We'll see you soon, mate. Cheers to Reedy. I say the title of the show is Our Club in Chaos. Thanks for everybody who's been part of it tonight. Don't forget the darts is coming to Leicester in a couple of weeks, October the 3rd to the 9th at the Morningside Arena. If you want to get your tickets, there's a link normally out there. So go and watch that. It's great fun, great entertainment. Last couple of comments before we go. Wayne says he thinks, yes, it is. John saying set piece coach is still not at the club. It's ridiculous. Imran says just get Walshy and he'll teach. We've got Carlo Torre, haven't we? It's not rocket science to be a set piece coach. Just coach it. Just practice it. Will says Barnes' goal should have stood. If that counts, Saturday result could have been a win. And this conversation completely changes. Keep the faith. Perez, I'm very unlucky with that last one as well, right at the end. I would disagree, says Neil. Wildly get sorted if we sack him. Last couple of comments. Lindsay says, remember Sunderland, Jamie, Claudio manager, and we got rid. We need a winger, says Andrew Griffiths. I saw this chaos last season after the second game, says Chris in there. Listen, thanks so much for all your comments, all your views. We'll be live later this week. We've got an away fan show that Tom is recording literally as we speak now with the United stand. So that'll be a great show to watch. I think that'll be out tomorrow night as a pre-record on YouTube in particular. And we'll see you at the match. Come and find us outside the Blues Bar, whatever they want to call it now. Give us your views before the match and after the match, and we'll see you later. Cheers, everybody.
Thanks for watching Leicester Fan TV. Thanks to our sponsors, ADT Taxis, Everards, Pucka Pies, Pink Car Leasing, Leicester Writers, Hologram, The Fox's Arms, Peter's Pizzeria, Hope Against Cancer, and Newbie & Co. Estate Agents. Make sure to follow us on all of our social channels at Leicester Fan TV. Visit our website, leicesterfantv.com.